Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Habakkuk, and I would also like to say a sincere shalom unto the hopeful elect, the scattered elect, unto the brothers, the prophets, the servants, the men that are prophesying, laboring in this truth and in this doctrine. Unto you I say shalom. Bacon's rebellion all over again. And what I'm referring to is Bacon's rebellion that took place in the 1600s or 1676 to be precise. But what took place is going to happen in these days, in these last days here in America, Babylon, but it's going to be at a higher level. It's going to be eventually a civil war where you're going to have what we call two-time loser Edomites going to fight against this wicked government and the elite because they're seeing now that they've always got the short end of the stick. Okay, they weren't, they didn't receive not even a little bit of the blessing that the wicked elite are getting. Okay, they're seeing that they're sending all their money to aid Israel. Before Israel, it was Ukraine. It was then Israel. Of course, they're sending foreign aid to all these other countries while the people here in Babylon, America, all right, proud ass Edomite Americans are suffering. All right, there is more layoffs than ever. Okay, the price of inflation. You can see these. You can go to various videos online, to see how these Edomites are just bugging out because they can't make ends meet. You guys did a video last week where you had Edomites giving blood. Blood, plasma. They're doing any and everything they can, and in their mind, they're thinking, I'm not supposed to struggle like these niggas and these Mexicans and everyone else. I'm an American. This land is for me and my people and for my and for my children and my grandchildren. But they're finding out that they got the short end of the stick. That the wicked elite don't give a shit about them. They never did. And the same thing what took place out in during Bacon's rebellion, where in order for them to prevent a labor rebellion, like took place back in the 1600s. There came the term white came along, which helped bridge the gap between the elite and the poor Edomites. But they're not going to have that. They're not going to have nothing to bridge the gap because they don't got shit. Okay, they can make promises, but at the end of the day, these MAGAs, these proud American Edomites, they don't they want conditions to increase, but they're not. Okay, they want jobs to be provided, but they're not. All right, the old America that you once knew is not coming back, and that's the reality. A lot of these Edomites are stuck with. So I'm gonna get into a little bit of Bacon's rebellion and what it meant then and what it's going to mean now. Because another part of Bacon's rebellion came forth like I said, the term white, which helped Edomites prevent any type of rebellion. All right, any of the poor Edomites and the slave. All right, rebelling against the government or the wicked elite. All right, during those times, they say the colonial elite. Okay, so it says I'm gonna start because I asked ChatGPT to tell me about Bacon's rebellion. His Bacon's rebellion was a armed uprising in the colony of Virginia colony led by Nathaniel Bacon against the governor William Berkeley. It is considered one of the earliest rebellions in American colonial history and exposed deep social and political tensions in early America. All right, it says the frontier conflict with natives. Settlers on Virginia's western frontier wanted strong military action against local native tribes after a series of violent clashes. And we know the majority of those violent clashes, all right, just through Esau's Esau's history, were initiated by the Edomites, okay, because they didn't want nothing from Jake but their land, okay, and probably their women, but more likely their land. In order to get their land, they had to lie, steal, rape, rob, and murder. And I'm pretty sure that's what took place. Because look what took place, or look at the end result of Gad. Okay, Trail of Tears, and all these the Indian Removal Act. All these things took place to pretty much exterminate Gad. So we know this the action that says strong military action against the Native Americans, the Native tribes, was one sided, and mainly Esau, who was the aggressor. All right. It says Governor Berkeley preferred a more cautious approach, partially to protect the profitable fur trade. They didn't care about Gad. They had Gad going out there and hunting for them and bringing those hides back so they could sell them. Okay, verse 2. The second point. Political corruption and favoritism. Many colonists, believe Berkeley had an inner circle control. This inner circle controlled the government unfairly and enriched themselves. Of course, they were getting kickbacks. While the same thing this government is doing now, or why all the senators, the governors, everyone's eating, everyone's getting rich, and while they're sending money, our tax money over to the small hats in various other nations, okay, while the poor, all right, suffer, okay, and the poor just is not just Jake, all right, yeah, Jake is poor, but it also includes the Edomites, okay, a lot of Edomites, like I said, are catching hell right now. It says economic hardship. Falling tobacco prices and high taxes hurt small farmers and former indentured servants who felt ignored by colonial elite. And of course, they're ignoring the colonial. They're ignoring the everyday working class blue collar worker now here in Babylon. Or it says what happened next. Nathaniel Bacon's organized a militia without official approval to attack Native American groups. Berkeley declared Bacon in rebellion. Bacon's force marched on Jamestown and eventually burned it to the ground in September 1676. Shortly after, Bacon died suddenly of illness. Without his leadership, the rebellion collapsed. Berkeley began control and harshly punished many rebels. Okay, and the elder Malcolm from Chicago was the first I've saw brought this out. So of course, apostles have brought out this information first. I just want to put that out there because he really goes intense into this topic, and he's brought this topic out several times before to show the pretty much the creation of white people, or which is a social construct made up by Esau. That's where you first heard the term white people in legislation in Virginia after this rebellion took place. Because, like I said, the wicked elite, they never wanted the poor Jake and the poor Edomites to come together to rise up against the government. But in these days, the last days, it's going to be everyone that got pretty much more Edomites than anything. Because the Edomites, even though they're Edomites, they're low level, but they see what's going on with their government and the way things are going. They understand that this place is going into a police state, a surveillance state. All right, they may even understand what the mark of the beast is. Okay, but it's nothing they can do. All right, the wicked elite sold them out. Okay, made them believe that they were white and they were equal to the to the elite. Okay, and you got Edomites walking around proud as hell, thinking that they on a level of elite because they have that term white. All right, that false term white on there. They as a they so-called race, and the wicked elite don't give a shit about y'all. Okay, it says why it matters. Bacon's rebellion has lasting consequences. A shift toward racial slavery. Before, the rebellion planners relied heavily on both white indentured servants, yeah, right, and enslaved Africans. That's who they relied on. Enslaved Africans, enslaved Jakes, all right, from the transatlantic slave trade. Excuse me. Afterwards, elites increasingly turned to rationalize African slavery, reducing reliance on potentially rebellious white laborers. All right, so they're not telling you. Chap's not going to tell you. That's why you have to do extensive research. It said they didn't rely on the white laborers. For most part they made deals with the white laborers, like I said, and so they would never rebel. They put them and told them that you're over. That's where all that not that Willie Lynch. Well, they gave them the illusion that you're over. You're over these people, even though you work with them. They're over these people, meaning Jake, and of course, made them taskmasters. Over Jake. Okay, even though they were low level. Even the elder Malcolm says that in they made a law in Virginia where Edomite women couldn't marry a Native American man or Israelite men. All right, I mean, Judite, Benjaminite men. Okay, you even had he had went into a story one time where you had Edomite women that would rather marry a slave, Jake, and live on a plantation with Jake than marry their own men. Let me see. Okay, it says the conflict showed division between wealthy laborers and poor settlers. All right, there was that division came with that term white. Okay, let me see. Simple terms. Let me see. Deeper cause, limited war. This is the point right here. It says class tensions in Virginia society, and this spread throughout all of America. Babylon, large plantation owners, the elite grandees, large plantation owners controlled the House of Burgess, held government positions, dominated trade networks. Lower class, former indentured servants, land poor farmers, frontier settlers, recently freed laborers. They say laborers, slaves with little opportunity. Many freed servants found no good land left, few political rights, rising taxes, falling tobacco prices. So this, and it was Jake in here, of course, but it was Edomites also. But in order to make the Edomites separate from the lower class in their mind, they said that they were white people. Okay, but in these days, you're not going to be able. You can't say, look at Jake. They're on a low level, and you're white because y'all if they look at Jake, they could see Jake is on a higher level than them. All right, if these Edomites really want to be real with themselves. All right, I pulled this up too. It's an article I had saved a while ago. It says how we white people got made, and really the main point is right here. It says this is after Bacon's Rebellion. It says the political leaders of Virginia colony struck upon an answer to all these problems. All right, and this was a problem. The class tensions, that was a major problem within Virginia. Okay. As answers as answer which plagues an answer which plagues us today. The Virginians legislated a new class of people into an existence, the whites. All right, that was written into legislation. All right, these before that was put in there. People call themselves Irishmen, Scottish, or whatever country their native country in they came from in Europe. All right, there was no such term as whites. All right, they gave the whites certain rights and took other rights from blacks. Whites as a language of race appears in Virginia around the 1680s and seems to first appear in Virginia law in 1691. And thus whiteness and to a degree as well blackness was born in the mind of America. So and a lot of those ones they call black were also Native Americans. Okay, who they grouped with the slaves. Okay, but that whiteness, that's what they gave them a certain rights, and certain laws were for only whites versus blacks. But how's Esau going to bridge that gap now? Okay, because what they can't, they're not going to be able to, because it says in Revelations 13 and 16, it says free and bond. Okay, rich and poor. So that's grouping everyone together. That was they pretty much the wicked elite played you Edomites back in the day. That's why we call you two-time losers. Okay, because you're thinking that you always had one up on Jake, but you're seeing that you're seeing that you're lower than Jake, seeing that we've been in a low state and we can still rise above the best Edomite. Okay, even though we don't have the resources that these Edomites have, but we see that our people are beginning to see that the majority of these Edomites, if not all of them, ain't shit. Okay, and that term white was, like I said, it was just made up. It was a made up term to try to bridge the gap between poor Edomites and the elite. The slave the plantation owners during that time. But a lot of these Edomites, these magas, they waking up. They not with the bullshit no more. They like, you know, what's happening to our America that we once knew, that we once loved. It's going away. It's gone. Okay, and the wicked elite are going to replace it with their new world order, their one world government. All right, that's why you're going to have these rebellions. That's why you're going to have eventually civil war here in Babylon. All right, this is Mark chapter 3 and verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And we see, even though Yahawashi was speaking to referring to those wicked scribes and Pharisees, we understand this can be applied today. Where is that scripture at? It's in the kingdom, because in one of these versions of this scripture, it actually says civil war. I want to say it might be in the NLT. Let me see. It may be in this one right here. What is this GNT? Let me check it out real quick, because the same verse says that. And I got that in Isaiah 19. I'm gonna keep this right here. I'm gonna just open another tab to search this. I just want to see what it says in the GNT. It may be in the NIV also. Excuse me, the NLT. What I say, Mark 3. But that's eventually what's going to come. All right, Egyptian versus Egyptian. All right, Mark 3 and 24 is good. If a country divides itself into groups which fight each other, that country will fall apart. All right, and you're seeing the country that this America, Babylon, is pretty much deteriorating right in front of our face with the infighting. All right, the left versus the right. Okay, the liberal versus the conservative. Okay, eventually it's going to spill over into this race versus this race, this state versus this state. Okay, and the Most High wants this. The Most High wants this division. All right, this is Isaiah 19 and 3, actually 2 in the. I'll start at the top in the GNT. This is a message about Egypt. The Lord is coming to Egypt, riding swiftly on a cloud. The Egyptians' idols trembled before him, and the people of Egypt lose their courage. The Lord says, I will stir up civil war in Egypt and turn brother against brother and neighbor against neighbor. Rival cities will fight each other and rival kings will struggle for power. And the king of Babylon right now, Trump, he's struggling for power, all right? Because all those Edomites that were with him, that were, during his campaign, all right, that thought he was going to make it better than Biden or whatever, all right, they're having buyer's remorse right now. They're like, man, you said you were going to do this. You said you were going to do this. And he ain't doing none of that shit. All right. Because at the end of the day, he don't care. He doesn't really care because he's getting his marching orders from the wicked elite to excuse me, to carry out their agenda, which ultimately is the Most High's agenda. This is Isaiah 19 and 2. I'm going to read it in the KJV. I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. And the modern day Egyptian is the American. Okay. And we understand this is spiritually Egypt that we're living in because of the bondage that the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, have served here during this captivity. And they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So there's going to be a civil war, all right? Because like I said, a lot of these Edomites are waking up and smelling the bullshit. They're like, nah, hold on, this ain't right. All right, you said this, you said that, but you're doing this now. And the a lot of these Edomites, they're Edomites at the end of the day, but they ain't that stupid, man. Let me get this second Ezra's, where is it? Second Ezra 6 in the GNT. Let me see something. Hold on, slide here. Okay, second Ezra 6, Salakia. And I'm going to jump down to verse 23. It says, friends will fight like enemies, and the earth and its people will be terrified. Rivers will stop flowing and stand still for 3 hours. All right, this is a end time prophecy. All right, I'll just mention how Egyptian against Egyptian, the Lord's going to stir up civil war, brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. It says friends will fight like enemies. Okay, imagine all them people at those MAGA rallies. They're gonna be fighting amongst each other because it's some of those that's gonna ride or die for Trump to the end, and it's some of those that's gonna say, hey, to hell with this. All right, I didn't sign up for this. He said he was gonna do this. He said he was gonna do that. He made a lot of promises that he didn't keep, and people are going to want answers. Okay, let me jump over to the 9th chapter, and I'm gonna start at the top. He answered, consider all the things very carefully. When you see that some of the signs I have told you are about to appear, or excuse me, I told you about have appeared, you will know that the time has come when the Most High, God Most High, will bring judgment on the world He has created. There will be earthquakes, national rebellions, international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. When ye see these things happening, you will know that they are what God Most High has spoken about since the beginning of creation. So these things have been spoken about by the prophets. All right, earthquakes in diverse places, as it says in Matthew the 24th chapter. Yahawashi said that. National rebellions. Okay, rebelling against who? The government. There's public. You see that taking place all throughout the world, where you have a lot of these people, whether it be Central South America, in the Caribbean islands, parts of Europe. I know France, for example, had the yellow vest, which was going on for a long time, where you have these national rebellions against their leaders, against their puppet governments, where these people outside of America, they can see clearer than you stupid ass Americans. America is still blinded by social media, by bread and circus, folly. Okay, a lot of these other countries, they may have social media, but they're not on it like the people here. They're not dumbed down. They're all right. They have, their eyes have been open to the bullshit. Okay, but hey, the Lord said, these things would happen. All right, the prophets have said, the Lord has spoken through the prophets to warn our people that, hey, flee from what did it say? Micah 2:10. This is not our rest. All right, so we shouldn't be putting our confidence in this place, thinking that, the average nigga out there is thinking that once we get Trump out of there, we're going to get a candidate in here that's going to turn things around. Things are not going to get turned around. Lord willing, Trump is the last. He even said it himself. He's probably the last president. Okay. Let me see. Let me go from here. I'm going back to the KJV. Excuse me. This is the book of Job. Job 20. And 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Straits meaning a degree of difficulty, or every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And who is the wicked? The wicked. I don't know the Hebrew word. Let me see. Wicked. Amal, which is toiler, laborer, sufferer, wretched one, laborer, workman. All right, and that's talking about Jake. That's talking about also the Edomites. All right, that's out there that got that's getting the short end of the deal. All right, that thought that they were on a level with the elite. Okay, that they thought that America, Trump, or their local mayor, governors, or whoever had their best interest, when they all have the best interest of the elites. All right, in their agenda. All right, and pretty much fulfilling their new world order. You have these different politicians that act like they're going against, what the elites are saying, but they're all in line. Okay, verse 23: when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and it shall rain upon him while he is eating. So when he's about to fill his belly, when he's in his mind about to cross that finish line where he's accomplished his new world order, that's when the Heavenly Father is going to rain down those missiles and bring his son Yahawashi back to redeem the elect and take this devil Esau out once and for all. All right. Excuse me. Damn. Let me go to this to Habakkuk. Damn, what did I want to hear? Yeah, that's going. I didn't really want that. But yeah, um, you're gonna see shit begin to turn up as things get bad. Things get worse here in America. That's when you're gonna see people begin to lose it. People are not gonna, It says here. Well, actually, I'm gonna get this. This one says it better in Second Ezra's 15. All right, because especially the Edomites. Okay, because niggas don't realize shit till it's too late. Okay, but Edomites they're on the up and up. All right, the Edomites is the type of ones that go out there and when if they ain't gonna do no weak ass protests like no peaceful protests like Jake go out there and walk around for a day and a half, 2 days and protest like they protested ICE and then go home and be at work on Monday. Now these Edomites is different. All right, these Edomites gonna go out there. They're gonna protest. They're gonna have guns. Okay, and if someone say the wrong shit, hey, something could pop off for sure. All right, but this is the point. This is where we're going to get to. This is what's going to lead to the martial law. This is what's going to lead to eventually the government fighting against the citizens. All right, like you saw if you ever see that movie Civil War. All right, in the movie they say that the president used the military against the people, the citizens. All right, and the Most High puts the spirit on the directors to come up with these ideas and put them on film. So it's not going to be no excuse in that day where I didn't know this and I didn't know that. Like the Lord put the movies out there, motion pictures, okay, feature films out there for you to see what the hell is taking place, and you have to have the spirit and able to correlate it with the scriptures in the last days we're living in. So let me stop running my mouth and hit this scripture. This is Second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 15. I'll start at 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And we know the modern day sword is the gun, all right? And in Babylon, America, there are more guns, okay, than actual civilians, than actual people, all right? So, hey, eventually things gonna get popping here in Babylon, okay? For there shall be sedition among men invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Let me back up. The course of their actions shall stand in their power. So people are not going to regard the Trump or what's the vice president name? JD Vance or anybody's request to stop this or stop that because we're going to get to a point where people don't want to hear that shit. Okay, people don't want to hear everything going to be all right, and we're look at the stock market, and people going to want to they're going to want blood, all right, because they losing, especially these Edomites. All right, Jake been losing for the longest. All right, so we know how to deal with hardship. We know how to deal with struggle. These Edomites, they don't know how. All right, that's why a lot of them are going to lose it. That's why a lot of them are losing it now. Okay, and of course, like I said, the times we're living in, food that's going to be a scarce necessity. All right, people are going to fight over. All right, people are going to blame the government. Okay, excuse me. Verse 17: A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. All right, that's that love of many wax cold. All right, but shall destroy their house with the houses. Excuse me, with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right, that's that great tribulation that everyone's going to go through. Okay, back in the in slavery times, it was just Jake in slavery. It's just Jake catching hell. Even after the Reconstruction time, it was Jake mainly catching hell. All right, even though Jake, knew how to, maneuver through Esau society, and they got themselves on a level at one point, but Esau just knocked their ass back down. So, but in these times we're living in, the Lord had made it an even playing field all the way across the line. All right, so before Esau could be in the middle class or upper middle class and look down on Jake, we all lower class now. All right, we're all at the bottom. We're all struggling to pay our bills. We're all struggling to pay our mortgages and utilities and provide for our families. Okay, but like I said, Jake been there, so we know how to maneuver and make shit work or make shit pop. Esau, they haven't been in that situation. In their minds, they shouldn't be in that situation because they think they're better than us. And at the end of the day, their whiteness should get them afford them a better lifestyle than us. Okay, but they're seeing that Esau don't care about himself. Esau don't care about his own. Okay, as it says in Sirach, he that is wicked. Let me see. Is it 12? Uh, yeah, 5, 12, and 5, 14 and 5. He that is evil to himself, whom will he be good? He shall not take good in his pleasure. Esau don't care about Esau don't care about fellow Edomites. Okay, so you're gonna see a national rebellion, a civil war. All right, and Bacon's rebellion was just a smidget. All right, of what's going to take place here in Babylon. All right, in these last days. All right, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the hopeful elect, and I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakakudash, Shalom.